It was the summer of 2016 when I was invited to spend a weekend with my friend Aaron at his family's cabin. We had just finished our sophomore year of college, and he suggested a small getaway in the woods near Willow Creek Road in northern Pennsylvania. The cabin was old, built sometime in the late 1950s, according to Aaron, but his parents maintained it well enough. It had no internet, no cell service, and the closest town was about a 40-minute drive. That isolation was part of the appeal. Aaron knew I had been stressed from exams and said a quiet weekend of fishing, grilling, and drinking beers by the fire would be exactly what I needed. I agreed without hesitation. I didn't know then that it would be the last time I ever saw Aaron. That we arrived late Friday evening. The sun had just disappeared, and the woods swallowed the last traces of light. The cabin stood about 200 yards off a dirt road, tucked behind thick trees. Inside, it was cozy enough. 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a living room with an old brick fireplace. The kind of place you'd expect to see in a family photo album from the 70s. We cracked open some beers, grilled hot dogs outside, and caught up. Around midnight, we went inside to play cards. That's when we first heard it. A faint whistle. It was distant, somewhere outside in the trees, but clear enough to catch our attention. Aaron froze mid-shuffle and looked toward the window. "You heard that too, right?" he asked. I nodded. At first, I thought maybe it was an owl or some kind of animal, but the sound was too deliberate. Too human. It came again, slightly louder. A long, slow whistle. Aaron muttered, probably some hiker camping out nearby. But his voice lacked conviction. We ignored it, or at least tried to, and eventually went to bed. The next morning, we went fishing at the nearby creek. Nothing unusual happened, though I noticed Aaron seemed distracted. His eyes kept flicking toward the tree line. When I asked what was wrong, he shrugged. "Last night was weird. I've been coming here for years, man. I've never heard anyone out here before." I didn't push it. But that night, the whistling returned. This time, it was closer. We were sitting by the fire outside when it started, low and drawn out, like someone slowly exhaling through their teeth. Both of us stood up immediately. Aaron grabbed the flashlight and scanned the woods. Nothing. Just endless black trees. "Hello?" Aaron called out. No response. Then, another whistle. This time, from a different direction. My stomach dropped. It was as if whoever it was had moved silently through the trees without us noticing. Aaron killed the fire, and we went inside. Neither of us slept much. The following morning, we discovered footprints. They were in the dirt just outside the cabin, bare footprints. No shoes. The prints were long, narrow, and led directly to the side window of the cabin before turning back into the woods. Aaron crouched down to look at them. His face went pale. "Who the hell walks barefoot out here? There's glass, rocks, snakes." He cut himself off, standing quickly. That was the moment I saw genuine fear on his face. We debated leaving early, but Aaron didn't want to. He said he wasn't going to be scared off from his own family's cabin. I wish I'd insisted harder. That night was the worst. We locked every door and window. Around 1 a.m., I woke up to the sound of footsteps on the wooden porch outside. Slow, deliberate steps. I held my breath, staring at the ceiling in the dark, praying it was just Aaron. Then I heard the whistle. Right outside my window. I wanted to scream, but fear glued me to the bed. After what felt like forever, the steps moved away. I grabbed the courage to sneak into the living room, where Aaron was already standing by the window, pale as a ghost, holding a kitchen knife. "You heard it too," he whispered. Before I could respond, we both froze. From the tree line, no more than 30 feet away, came the faint glow of a cigarette. Someone was standing there, just watching us. Aaron raised the flashlight and shined it toward the trees. The light illuminated nothing, just branches swaying in the wind. When he lowered the flashlight, the cigarette glow was gone. We didn't sleep. By morning, Aaron was furious. He insisted we pack up and leave, but not before checking the property one last time. That's when we found something that still makes my skin crawl to this day. Behind the cabin, nailed into a tree, was a Polaroid photograph. It was of us. Taken the night before. We were sitting by the fire, unaware of the camera. Aaron ripped it down, cursing. His hands shook violently. "Pack your shit. We're leaving. Now." We threw our bags in the car and sped down the dirt road. I kept looking behind us, half expecting to see someone running after the car. We drove 40 minutes into town, where Aaron called his parents. He wanted them to report it to the sheriff. That was the last time I saw him. Aaron insisted on going back to the cabin with his father and the sheriff later that afternoon. I told him I wasn't coming. I was too shaken. He dropped me off at the bus station so I could head home. That evening, I got a text from him. "Going back up now. I'll call you later." That call never came. The next day, his mother phoned me in tears. Aaron had gone missing. The sheriff claimed they found the cabin empty. The sheriff and Aaron's father searched the surrounding woods, calling his name, but he was nowhere. The only thing they reportedly found was another Polaroid nailed to a tree. This one was of Aaron, standing outside the cabin porch, looking directly at the camera. Except he had never posed for that picture. For weeks, there were search parties. Helicopters. Dogs. Volunteers combing the woods. No trace of him was ever found. The sheriff's department filed it as a disappearance, though off the record, one deputy told me they suspected foul play. But with no leads, no suspects, and no evidence beyond the photographs, the case eventually went cold. I was questioned several times. My story never changed. And yet, sometimes late at night, I wonder if people suspect me. 2 months later, I returned to Willow Creek Road with Aaron's father. He wanted to gather the rest of Aaron's belongings from the cabin. I didn't want to go, but I couldn't say no. The cabin looked the same, though the air felt heavier. Wrong. When we went inside, everything was untouched. But on the kitchen table, there was a Polaroid waiting for us. It was Aaron again. Only this time, he wasn't on the porch. He was in the woods, half hidden in the shadows. His face looked pale, gaunt, almost lifeless. Aaron's father broke down, clutching the photo, sobbing. I just stood there, staring at it, unable to breathe. To this day, Aaron has never been found. His family eventually sold the cabin. I've never gone back. Sometimes, though, I wake in the middle of the night and swear I hear that same slow whistle outside my window. And when I finally fall back asleep, I dream of Aaron, standing just beyond the tree line. I used to live in a small suburban town in Ohio, the kind of place where nothing really happens. Back in high school, around 2012, kids would hang out at the mall, the gas station parking lot, or sometimes down by the creek that ran under Willow Street. That creek had a huge drain tunnel, basically a storm drain system that allowed rainwater to flow under the road and out into the woods. It wasn't just a small pipe either. The tunnel was big enough for a grown man to stand upright inside, with graffiti covering the walls and the smell of wet concrete hanging in the air. For years, kids used it as a dare spot. We'd challenge each other to walk through it at night, with only a flashlight, and make it all the way to the other side. It wasn't dangerous, really. Just creepy. At least, that's what we thought. It was late September when my friend Tyler convinced me to go. He was one of those guys who thrived on scaring people. "Dude, it's just a tunnel. 10 minutes tops. Unless," he smirked. "Unless you're scared." I rolled my eyes. I'm not scared of a concrete pipe. So, that Friday night, 4 of us went, me, Tyler, our buddy Jake, and a girl named Rachel. We met at the edge of the creek around 11:30 p.m., flashlights in hand. The air was cold, and the woods were quiet, uncomfortably quiet. The tunnel entrance gaped like a mouth in the ground, swallowing the beam of our lights. Tyler grinned. "Ladies first." Rachel shoved him. "You're insane if you think I'm going in there first." So, naturally, I ended up leading. Inside, the air was damp and echoing. Every step sent ripples of water spreading across the shallow stream that trickled along the floor. Our flashlights bounced off the graffiti, names, symbols, crude drawings. At first, it wasn't too bad. We laughed, cracked jokes, and tried to scare each other with fake noises. But the deeper we went, the less funny it became. The tunnel seemed endless, swallowing sound in a way that made our voices feel small. The beam of my flashlight caught something strange on the wall, a smear of red paint that looked fresher than the rest of the graffiti. Except, when I leaned closer, I realized it wasn't paint. It was a handprint. Rachel saw it too and grabbed my arm. "That's blood," she whispered. Before I could respond, we all froze. From deeper inside the tunnel came a sound. A whistle. Long, slow. Deliberate. The 4 of us went dead silent. The whistle echoed, bouncing off the walls, making it impossible to tell how far away it was. Jake tried to laugh it off. Probably some homeless guy messing with us. But his voice shook. Tyler called out, "Hello? Someone in there?" No response. Then, another whistle. Louder this time. Closer. Rachel whispered, "We should go back." I agreed instantly. But Tyler, being Tyler, said, "No way. We're almost through. Whoever it is will leave us alone." So, against our better judgment, we kept moving. Every step deeper into that tunnel made my skin crawl. About 5 minutes later, our lights caught something ahead. At first, it looked like a shadow. Then, as the beam steadied, we saw him. A man. Standing in the center of the tunnel. He wasn't moving, wasn't speaking. Just standing, half hidden in the dark. We all froze. My stomach dropped. The man was barefoot. His clothes looked soaked, clinging to his thin frame. His face was pale, almost gray, and though his eyes reflected the flashlight, he didn't blink. Then, slowly, he raised his hand. And waved. The 4 of us bolted. The tunnel echoed with our footsteps and screams. I don't think I've ever run that fast in my life. Behind us, I swore I heard another whistle. By the time we burst out into the night air, we were gasping for breath. Tyler was laughing hysterically, his way of hiding fear. Rachel was crying. Jake bent over, throwing up. I looked back at the tunnel. It was empty. Just a dark hole in the ground. Who the hell was that? Rachel kept asking. None of us had an answer that we swore we wouldn't tell anyone, but of course, word got around. Within a week, everyone at school was talking about the man in the tunnel. Most kids laughed it off as one of Tyler's stories. But then, something happened that wiped the smile off his face. A local paper reported that a man in his 40s had gone missing from the area. Last seen walking near Willow Street. A photo accompanied the article. It was the same man we saw in the tunnel. 2 weeks later, Tyler wanted to go back. I refused. Rachel flat out said no. But Jake, stupidly, agreed. Maybe it was just some junkie. He's probably long gone by now, Jake reasoned. So, one Friday night, Tyler and Jake went back into that tunnel. They never came out. Search parties went in. Police. Volunteers. Dogs. No sign of them. Not a footprint. Not a piece of clothing. Nothing. Rachel and I were questioned. Hard. We told them what we saw, but nobody believed us. To this day, Tyler and Jake are listed as missing. No bodies were ever found. It's been over a decade now. I live 2 states away, but sometimes, when I'm walking home at night, I hear it. That same slow whistle. I tell myself it's nothing, just a sound carried by the wind. But deep down, I know better. Because every time I hear it, I remember that man in the tunnel. And the way he waved at us, like he already knew. Knew that 2 of us would never leave. In the summer of 2019, I needed a place to stay. I had just transferred jobs and didn't know anyone in the small town of Millfield, Pennsylvania. Money was tight, so when I found a 2-bedroom rental listed cheap on Red Hill Road, I jumped on it without asking too many questions. The house was old but decent, 2 stories, peeling white paint, a sagging porch, and wood stretching behind it for miles. It sat on a quiet stretch of road with only 2 other houses in sight, both abandoned. The landlord, a wiry man named Carl, seemed almost too eager to hand me the keys. He avoided eye contact when I asked about the low rent. "People don't stick around long," was all he said. I should have pressed him. But I didn't. Moving in was easy. I didn't have much, just some clothes, a mattress, and kitchen basics. That first night, I made instant noodles, set up my bed on the floor, and told myself the creaks and groans of the old house were normal. Around midnight, though, I woke to a noise. A whistle. Faint, low, and deliberate. It seemed to drift through the house, though I couldn't place where it came from. I froze in bed, every hair on my body standing up. After a minute, it stopped. I convinced myself it was the wind. But I barely slept. The next morning, I noticed a door in the kitchen I hadn't opened yet. It led to the basement. The air down there was damp and heavy. My flashlight revealed stone walls, rusted shelves, and, against the far wall, a heavy wooden door with a rusted padlock on it. The landlord hadn't mentioned a locked room. I tried the padlock. It was solid. I felt a chill and decided to leave it alone. But all day, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was behind that door. Watching. Waiting. Over the next week, the whistling grew more frequent. Always at night, always around the same time, between midnight and 3 a.m. Sometimes it came from outside, near the trees. Other times, it seemed to drift from within the walls. Once, I swore it came from the basement. I told myself it had to be pipes, or wind through the eaves. But deep down, I knew better. On my second week there, I met a woman walking past the property. She was in her late 60s, wearing a sun hat and carrying groceries. "You're living there now?" she asked, almost in disbelief. I nodded. "Yeah. Just moved in." Her face darkened. "You need to be careful in that house." When I pressed her, she told me a story. Years back, the house had belonged to a man named Joseph Miller. He lived alone after his wife died. Locals said he grew strange, talking to himself, wandering the woods at night. One winter, a delivery driver found Joseph hanging from a rafter in the basement. The police discovered something else too. Behind that locked basement door were dozens of Polaroids. Photos of people. Not just strangers. Locals. Neighbors. Children. All taken without them knowing. Some Polaroids showed people sleeping in their own beds. Others were taken through windows at night. No one ever figured out how Joseph got into those homes. The woman leaned closer. "He used to whistle. Said it helped him find people in the dark." Then she walked away, leaving me standing in the driveway, cold despite the summer heat. That night, the whistling was louder than ever. It circled the house, starting near the woods, then drifting to the porch, then, terrifyingly, beneath the floorboards. The basement. Gripping a baseball bat and a flashlight, I forced myself downstairs. The padlocked door was rattling. Not violently, just enough to make the lock clink against the metal latch. I stumbled back, heart racing. The rattling stopped. Then came the whistle. From behind the door, the next morning, I called the landlord. "There's something in the basement," I said. Carl was quiet for a long time. Finally, he muttered, "Don't go near that door. You hear me? Don't ever go near it." Then he hung up. That was the moment I knew I had to leave, that I planned to pack and go the next day. But that night, the last night, I woke to the whistle again. Only this time, it wasn't faint. It was in my room. I sat up, flashlight shaking in my hands, and caught a glimpse of something in the corner. A man. Pale, wet-looking skin. Bare feet. Eyes glinting in the light. He was smiling. And he was holding a Polaroid camera. The flash went off. Before I could move, he was gone. No door opened. No footsteps. Just gone. I tore out of that house barefoot, sprinting into the road, not stopping until I reached the gas station 2 miles away. The police searched the house the next day. They found nothing in the bedroom. No intruder, no footprints, no sign of forced entry. But in the basement, the padlocked door was open. Inside were dozens of fresh Polaroids. Every one of them was of me. Sleeping. Eating. Standing at the sink. And the last photo was from the night before. Me, in bed, just seconds before I woke up. That I left Millfield that same day and never went back. The house still sits there, rotting on Red Hill Road. Sometimes, when I lie awake at night, I think about those Polaroids. About how someone was in that house with me, watching me, the whole time. And sometimes, when the world is very quiet, I hear it again. That slow, deliberate whistle.